We're going to take you through an example of how the UBC CPD Personal Learning Plan, PLP, program works to support rural physicians. Let's follow the journey of a physician, Dr. Laura Beamish, as she navigates the initial steps of the PLP program with supports from the concierge and physician advisor. This is a version of a conversation that would normally take about 15 minutes for the intake phone call and approximately 1 hour for the initial meeting. And we're going to compress it into about 5 minutes. And we hope the framework gives you a sense of how we do what we do.
Good afternoon, Dr. Laura Beamish. It's Ange Wagner from UBC's CPD Personal Learning Plans program. Is now a good time to talk?
Yeah, this is great. I have a bit of time between cases.
Perfect. Before we begin, I want to assure you that this conversation is entirely free, flexible, confidential, and non-reporting.
Great. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I've heard really good things about the program from a colleague, so I'm looking forward to our conversation.
That's great to hear. The purpose of today's call is to review your intake forms so that we can better understand your goals and preferences. Then we'll schedule a 1-hour Zoom meeting with a physician advisor who has experience in rural settings. Together, we'll prioritize your learning goals to make sense of all the CPD out there and then develop a plan tailored just for you.
Great.
From your form, I see you're practicing in Port Hardy. Can you tell me more about your experience so far?
Yeah, that's right. So I started my practice here in 2024, and so far the community has been really welcoming and the team at the clinic is supportive. However, there are definitely areas where I could use some extra support. Particularly, I'm finding with emergency medicine care and substance use management, those are areas that I've kind of identified.
Those are key areas we can focus on. Let's also think about your schedule. What time would work best for our 1-hour meeting?
Probably Friday mornings work well for me after daycare drop-off, so sometime around 9.
Perfect. I'll connect you with Dr. Bruce Hobson, our PLP medical lead. He has 40 years of experience in rural family practice on Powell River, which is near where you're currently located, and he also currently lives on the island too. How would Friday at 10 a.m. sound?
That sounds great. Thank you.
Great.
Hi, Laura. It's great to meet you. Ange has given me a little bit of an overview and an introduction to you and has given you a brief overview of the program. And so now we're here just to dive a little bit deeper.
Yeah, great. Hi, Bruce. Really nice to meet you. And hi again, Ange. Yeah, I'm really grateful to be here. And Ange mentioned you're based on the island, so I'm really looking forward to having this conversation with you.
Thank you for being here, Laura. Today, this hour is for you. We'd love to hear your story, how you came to be in rural practice, and what you're hoping to achieve. Today's conversation is non-reporting and entirely confidential. We want to make sure you're getting the support that you need. We'll start by talking about your goals and how you'd like to learn, and then we can prioritize these goals. I'll take some notes and provide a summary at the end, and in 1 to 2 weeks, we'll email you a personalized learning plan with some curated resources. That said, we're open to critique, and feedback's really important because it can help us with the next person who comes along. How does this land with you?
That all sounds, really great. I think for me, flexibility is important. I have a young family, and so it's really helpful when things are flexible. And, I love to stay current, but the amount of CPD available, I'm just finding it really overwhelming, to be honest. And time is always the limiting factor for me. Being new to practice, sort of understanding the CME and Main Pro Plus credit cycle, it's all new and I don't really know where to start, and life just feels really full.
Absolutely. We can also adapt to your timeline and we're flexible. Now, I'd like to pass it over to Dr. Bruce Hobson for his introduction.
Yeah, thanks, Ange. And Laura, everything you say resonates. And just to give you a bit more background, I call myself a refocused family physician that used to practice in rural, and I now wear many different hats that for different services and organizations that support physicians. So I'd really love to hear your story, just how you ended up in Port Hardy and how are things going?
Yeah, so I'm still getting settled in here. I've met some colleagues socially, but I find that our schedules don't really overlap all that much. And I'm just finding that rural practice is just different from residency. It's more generalized, and I sometimes feel kind of out of my depth in the emergency department. I feel like I've been doing my best to learn on the go, especially with managing chronic pain and substance use. And the head of the department and the nurse team, they've been just incredibly helpful, but I'm still just figuring things out, like referrals, community resources, and truthfully, it can feel kind of isolating at times. And my family has just moved here as well, and they're still adjusting. So it's all just a transition.
Yeah, it really sounds like there's a lot on your plate, and your story and your concerns and the things that are going on are pretty familiar to us. Lots of people are going through that. But what we can do is focus on the areas that you've mentioned, such as the chronic pain, emergency care, practice management, which can support time management, and really try to share some general resources that others have found useful. Um, Maybe you could tell us a little bit more about the kinds of support you're looking for, and I'd really be interested to know how you like to learn: conferences, articles, modules, hands-on workshops, or even coaching.
Yeah, those are all really good questions. So I think for me specifically, I've been really looking lately for more information on opioid prescribing and best practices for emergency care. And she mentioned that you're really experienced with EMR, and I'm new to Med Access and could always use some help there. I think the idea of mentorship is really appealing to me, and I also find those hands-on opportunities to learn really useful as well. And conferences, I find just being new to practice, that networking component is really valuable. I just find right now it's hard to travel with my little kids and my on-call schedule. I also just sometimes feel like I'm not billing properly and finding that things are feeling kind of tight.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we can get you connected with some of the resources in helping manage patients living with chronic pain. There's the Pain BC Adaptive Mentorship Network and the BC Guidelines and Pathways BC website for treatment algorithms. There's also a really great BC Echo on substance use, which might be helpful. And for your EMR, we can connect you with the Doctors of BC Practice Support Program for your EMR training. And in fact, actually, their billing team is really great and has a great one-pager handout. We'll also look into some local conferences and courses like point of care ultrasound and the CASID course, really to see if that can help with your emergency skills.
We'll send along links to those resources Bruce just mentioned in your plan and also connect you with some time management coaching opportunities through our UBC CPD coaching and mentoring program, CAMP, if that's something that you'd like.
Yeah, that would be great. I think any help I can get with managing my life with my young family and my work schedule would be really helpful. Work-life balance is an ongoing thing for me.
Yeah, I call it work-life integration, and it's really a reality for many rural physicians. In addition, I'd maybe recommend a book called The Joy of Medicine, which is written by Dr. John Crosby out of Ontario. He provides it free, and it has practical advice for managing some of those demands. So we'll make sure to include that too as a PDF that's attached as a link.
Along with those resources, we'll also be sending you the personalized learning plan that includes links to the Rural Education Action Plan, REAP, for funding opportunities, as well as other resources like the Physician Health Program or real-time virtual support, and some other popular favorites like This Changed My Practice out of UBC CPD. Then we'll check in with you in a couple of weeks and we'll see how everything's going and ensure everything's on track.
Awesome. That sounds so great. Thank you both so much for the support, and I'm just really looking forward to getting started.
Well, thanks for joining us today, Laura. And in the meantime, if there's anything that you need to connect us to us, just drop us an email or a phone call and connect with Ange, and we'll see what we can do to support you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for your time.
So, as you can see, the Personal Learning Plan program is really designed to help rural physicians like Dr. Beamish really navigate the unique realities and the very complex environment of CPD that they face, and link and connect them to people, develop relationships, connect to resources in the community. And through these kind of tailored consultations that we have with other rural physicians who have walked the walk, we can provide curated resources and more ongoing support. So we really try to empower rural physicians to achieve their learning goals and thrive in their own practice.